Tonight on the podcast, we're talking about Halo, MoonKnight, and Sonic 2, as well as some geek news involving the Wonder Twins, DC, Warner Brothers Discovery, and hit that music, Max. It's Friday night in Phoenix, Arizona. We are the Absolute Geek Podcast. My name is Lance.
I'm Max.
Oh, that was so I'm Max. How are you guys tonight?
Yeah.
That was like some ASM stuff.
Sure.
Oh.
ASMR or whatever they call that.
Is that what it's called? It's not ASM, it's ASMR, isn't it?
Yes, ASMR.
Oh, man. Shows you how stupid I am. Yo, Patrick, what's up, buddy? Welcome to the show. Styx is on, too. Right on time. He says 7:34. You fucking asshole.
Hey, man. We're only a little late.
Yeah, dude, I was trying to get somebody on. I actually asked Hunter Buckman to come on.
Oh, really?
And I said, dude, come talk Halo, because he is probably the best Halo player that I know. I would think.
Yeah, he is. He is very good.
And I said, dude, come on, talk about Halo. And he's like, dude, I haven't watched it. I was like, what the? I thought you were obsessed.
He's not, I don't think, I can't speak for, this is a friend of ours. I can't speak for him really, but from what I know of Hunter, he's not like a story guy when it comes to video games. He's more about just the competitive nature. So I don't know if he's super into the Halo story. He might be, but I just, he plays Apex Legends and pretty much if there's like a big battle royale or shooter game like that, he's going to be in there and he's going to be kicking everybody's butt. He's really good.
So I love story games. That's probably the only games that I like, if you don't count like Mario and shit like that, right?
Yeah, my preferred is story-driven games.
I tried playing The Evil Within because I just got a brand new Xbox, the Xbox Series X with Game Pass, so I'm downloading all these games that I wanted to play and never really got a chance.
Sure.
I put The Evil Within on easy mode because I heard it's a pretty tough game. It's still fucking hard on easy.
Is it?
Oh, dude, I played for probably 15 minutes and died like 6 times. It's hard. It's fucking hard.
I haven't tried it. I'm not into horror games. Just, I say I'm not into horror movies because I'm not really, because I don't find them scary. But horror video games freak me the hell out.
Well, you play Last of Us, but I guess that's not really a horror game.
I mean, it is,
but it isn't.
And the sections of The Last of Us that are like in the dark, like especially The Last of Us 2, when there's the sections in the dark and you have to use the flashlight and you can't see anything. Dude, yeah, the clickers, those sections freak me out. I hate those sections.
Oh, dude, that's my favorite. That's my favorite.
Yeah, it's just not my jam. I get why people like it, but I don't like to be scared. Movies don't scare me, but when it's a video game and I'm in control, it's freakier, man. Like at any moment, someone's going to come and jump at me. I don't like it.
Yeah, I think I'm just desensitized. I don't know. I have a hard time. I've always had a hard time saying that word.
ASM, desensitized.
Desynthesized.
Desensitized.
Horror movies and horror games I don't get scared, really.
Did you play Until Dawn?
No. Is that on Game Pass?
No, it's a PS4 game. It was an exclusive on PS4. I let you borrow it and you never played it.
Yes, I did play it. I did play it. Yeah, I got kind of bored. It's kind of like that choose your own adventure stuff, huh?
It's a choose your own adventure stuff. I don't know how far in you got, but it's freaky, dude.
The
first half is like a traditional slasher film, and then it gets more like supernatural.
I got 75% through it. And I didn't really like it. You loved it, which that's awesome for you. I like that you like that there's something horror that piqued your interest, but I didn't like the choose your own adventure stuff. Like it just didn't.
The gameplay wasn't for you.
Yeah,
not your kind of gameplay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I like stuff where it's giving you like a lot of like Last of Us is perfect. It gives you a ton of story, and then there's an actual like hand to hand like difficult combat.
Until Dawn is more just story.
Yes.
Like there is gameplay and stuff, and I think you do shoot some guns in it, but it's mostly you're choosing your own adventure, and depending on what you do, people will die or they'll live or or whatever. Lots of things can. I enjoy that.
You know what I'm surprised that they never got into, considering the following that's along with it. Supernatural doesn't have a video game, and it seems primed. My kid is freaking out there.
Yeah. So Patrick is saying some stuff in the comments, and I want to address some of this. So he's talking about Horizon Zero Dawn, how it looks gorgeous.
Well, first he said Matt is late again, probably. No, Matt's not on the show tonight.
Matt is not on the show.
Matt has family in town.
Oh, is that what it is? I thought he was going to a prostitute's.
Going to a prostitute's?
You can see how dialed into that
going to a prostitute's.
Well, it's possessive. Go to a prostitute's house.
No, that's called a brothel or a whorehouse.
I was trying to think of something funny, and I did not do well.
The Bunny Ranch. He's at the Bunny Ranch.
Matt always has something funny to say when we're gone. Like, I could be out on my anniversary date, and Matt's like, "Oh yeah, he's rubbing hemorrhoid cream on his ass." Or, like he just
we ripped you apart last week talking about Manscaped.
Oh yeah,
and saying how you had to order a replacement for your clippers because they burned out halfway through.
Well, regarding Horizon Zero Dawn or Horizon Forbidden West, that game is absolutely gorgeous, and I just finished Forbidden West yesterday, which is kind of crazy for me because that game came out in February. I think it was mid-February, maybe it was the end of February, but it took me nearly 2 full months to beat it. And for me, that's a long time. Like when I'm really looking forward to a game, like when I'm looking forward to something game-wise or TV-wise or whatever, I usually just dive in and just demolish it. Like when The Last of Us 2 came out, it was a 30-hour game. I played it in like 2.5 days. Now that was before my son was born, so it was a bit easier. But even after James has been born, like games have come out and I have plowed through them. But just, I've mentioned on the show a few times, like I was applying for a new job at work. And so I was interview prepping, and then I got the new job. And so I was like trying to transition all my old work to new people. And now I'm starting a new job. And now you're
training on licensing. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting licensed in my Series 6 and my 63 and my SIE. And so it's just like my time for gaming has gone down a bit. But it's been fun though. Like this week I played a bit more, which was nice. And Forbidden West has a cool story. Like it's fine, but like a lot of people were giving it like a 9 out of 10, and I don't know, I feel like it's more like an 8. Like it's good, it's really good, but
not as good as the first one.
I think the first one was better, honestly. The second one is prettier. The gameplay upgraded. The gameplay's a little bit better, and there's some cool mechanics that weren't in the first game. But story-wise, the first one was way better because you're like you don't know what's going on in this world, and you're like discovering all these new things. And so that's been part of the trouble. Is the second game you've already discovered like what Zero Dawn is, and kind of just you've discovered a lot about the world, and so some of that mystique is gone. It doesn't mean the story's bad. It's just like The Last of Us or The Last of Us 2. Those stories are incredible. God of War story, incredible.
I want to touch on something you said real quick about the mystique being gone. The Last of Us 2, the reason I think I like it so much is because like the core of the story was like, it seemed like it was completed in Last of Us, the part 1, right?
Yeah.
But Last of Us 2 did such a good job of like surprising you, like over and over and over again. I mean, it has one of the probably biggest surprises of the entire franchise, like
right at the beginning.
So they add that mystique in there. That's why it's good. It's like I like these games that take, I mean, they killed off a main character in the second game. Usually these video game companies are going to try to milk these things dry, right? They have a popular character, they're going to at least try to have him last a little bit longer. And no, they killed him off like in the second scene or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, it was pretty early on. Early on. And those games for me, the story is just incredible. And Horizon Forbidden West, it's pretty, it's fun. There's some really cool quests, some great dialogue. The story's fine. It's just it wasn't anything groundbreaking really. So but it sets up a sequel for a trilogy, which is cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah, of course they gotta, because it sold well, right?
Yeah, it did well.
Yeah. So Styx brought up Resident Evil being freaky, and yeah, it was. But I think the true original is Silent Hill. Silent Hill was scary. I remember that much. My kid is pissed. I don't know why.
Oh, good. We can hear her a little bit. It's fine. She'll live.
Anna's at Walmart right now, so she said that she'd be a little bit late. So I'm like, okay, well, try not to make it a lot of late. But did you ever play Silent Hill?
No, I didn't. No,
Silent Hill is like a classic. It's a classic.
I haven't played
franchise.
Resident Evil either. Like I said, I'm not super into horror stuff.
Yeah, Resident Evil's cool. I mean, I don't know why they've made. How many do they make of them? Like 8?
I don't know. A lot.
But the Silent Hill movie sucked. They did not do a good job with that. But most video game movies suck. By the way, so we're going to talk about Sonic 2 tonight, which I'm kind of excited for. Matt didn't want to talk about it because he says it's a kid's movie. And I say, fuck that noise. It broke the record for opening. It beat itself. Sonic 1 had the record for best opening video game adaptation, right? Sonic 2 beat it. I'm kind of surprised that Resident Evil's not. I mean, they made a ton of those movies.
Yeah, we talked about this on the show like a month ago.
Yeah.
What was Matt saying? He was saying that like it's not that they weren't successful, but they weren't like that successful. It's more just like Mila Djokovic and her husband's like passion projects, and it made enough money that they could just keep doing them.
Yeah, I want to watch the new one because it has Robbie Amell in it. I like
the TV show on Netflix, or like movie on Netflix or something.
No, it's not on Netflix.
No,
Resident Evil? No, it's an actual movie. Like you go rent it from Redbox.
I thought there was a new like Resident Evil thing on Netflix, but
there may be, but I don't think that one's. I know there's just a movie that's out that you have to like rent.
Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City, is that the one?
Yeah, I think so. With Robbie Amell.
Yeah, Robbie Amell's in it. Which we're going to talk about Robbie Amell later in the show too. Themes. There are themes in this episode.
If only we were good at segues, because that would be a perfect segue. But we always think about them after the fact. Yeah, so I was just shocked.
Speaking of, you want to talk about segues, we're talking about castings. We're going to talk about how Robbie Amell was cast in The Witcher. But before that, let's talk about another casting that you heard about, Lance.
Yeah, so the Wonder Twins got cast. KJ Apa from Riverdale, and we don't have a slide for it because it literally happened like an hour ago, I think. KJ Apa from Riverdale, who plays Archie, and what's her name? Isabel May?
Maybe. She's from 1883, blonde, young girl.
She's beautiful.
She is
beautiful.
She is gorgeous. Let's see. He sent the text. KJ Apa and Isabel May. Yep.
Yeah, so they both got cast as the Wonder Twins, which that seems to be. It's interesting because later in the show we're going to be talking about Warner Brothers Discovery and their plans for DC and kind of what they're trying to do. But yet they're still pushing forward with some of these Wonder Twins. Blue Beetle has some casting. Susan Sarandon just got cast in Blue Beetle, a part that was originally going to be Sharon Stone, but I guess contract talks fell through, so they got Susan Sarandon, which better actress. I mean, most people would admit that.
Yeah,
Susan Sarandon's a better actress than Sharon Stone. So it seems like they're pushing forward with it, but I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that here in a minute, but we're going to switch things up a little bit tonight. So we normally start with geek news, but we have 3 things we're going to review tonight, right, Max?
Yeah, we do.
So what's first on the docket?
Well, the first thing that we're going to be talking about is Halo. I don't think we've talked about Halo on the show yet. No,
Matt refuses to watch it. He won't watch it. I don't know why. Here's my thing with Halo. So real quick. So I told Matt wants us to start giving like synopsises before we start getting into the spoiler stuff of kind of what's going on. So Halo is in episode 4 right now. That's what debuted yesterday, is episode 4. And so far we've met Master Chief. He's taken off his helmet.
And then he hasn't put it back on.
He has not put it back on.
Hardly at all, anyway.
There is you can definitely get some Mandalorian vibes, except in episode 3 they kind of ditched that a little bit, and there's somebody else taking care of the kid who I thought was going to be like the child or Grogu or whatever. So the Mandalorian line kind of, or storyline kind of switched to somebody else. But here's my number one thing with Halo. A lot of people are hating on it, and which I get. If you're a fan of the video games, and you watch this show, they are completely different. The two, they could have called this anything they wanted to, and not called it Halo, and it still would have worked.
It might have been better received.
Yeah,
but it probably wouldn't have been as watched, because like you have the name Halo tied to it. People are going to watch it.
Yes,
because it's not a bad show.
No,
it is tough to swallow at times, because I am a bigger Halo fan than you are.
It's, well, I mean, I'm a huge Halo fan of the first two, right? So I played the first two at nauseam, right? So like, but I started to think about it, how you're just kind of thrust into this storyline that's happening with the Halo games, right? There's no real character development, and I've noticed that with video games, like, they do that a lot. Like, Halo has a great story, but there's none of that background stuff that's happening, right? No character development. Like, you more fall in love with the character because of the gameplay and the scenery and the graphics and stuff like that. Still a great story. Just, I don't think it would have worked for a TV show without all this backstory stuff. I think they have to prop up the characters and build this back, because now you're learning about these other Spartans, you're learning about these scientists in the background, you're learning about these regular military people, that there's a difference between Spartans and these, like, in the video games, the regular military people are just kind of there, right? Like, it doesn't really explain why there's Spartans and why there's military people. Like, I just don't think the game would have worked if they adapted it beat for beat into a TV show.
So I think it would have. I firmly disagree with you on that. But now, well, I guess I mostly disagree. I agree that, like, if they literally beat for beat did the exact same thing as the game, it wouldn't have worked. But I think they could have done pretty much the exact same story as the original game or something, or a very similar version, but added more. I think it's valuable to get backstory. I think it's good to understand things. But here's where I'm at. When I watched the first episode, I was severely disappointed and didn't like it. And then the second, third episodes, I was kind of feeling the same way. And this fourth episode wasn't amazing. I'm not loving this show, but I'm coming to the realization that it's just kind of fun to have. It's fun to be in the Halo world in this way. It's cool to see the Covenant, although the Covenant have not been in the show nearly as much as I'd like.
I think that's coming.
I think it is too. I think there's just a slow burn going on here. But here's one of the things I've been thinking about. So there's a lot of Halo books, and I won't profess to be super deep into the lore in the Halo books. I know that the show is not canon, and that it takes place in kind of like an alternate Halo universe is kind of the idea. But the way I'm thinking about the show is it's a prequel to the first game. And I think that that's okay. Because at the beginning of the first game, I said Halo, it's like people say Zelda instead of Link. Master Chief at the beginning of the first Halo is basically like in cryosleep or whatever, like he's deactivated and they reactivate him. And everyone already knows who he is. He's already the super known military hero and all that. Now, granted, in this show, he's already fairly well known too, but we haven't really seen him do anything. And so I think it's kind of cool that we do get to see Chief do some stuff and like get some more backstory on him. But what I really hope and what I'm expecting this season to end like maybe as they get to the Halo ring, or maybe even I think they're going to get to the Halo ring, but I don't think until like the last episode. And maybe next season will be more similar to the first Halo game. I don't think I still don't think it's going to be beat for beat. I think it's going to be very different still. But maybe that's where they're gonna go.
I agree with you. I think it's kind of a prequel because just in this episode, and we're getting into spoilers now for those that haven't seen it. We're gonna talk spoilers a little bit. They just now learned of the Halo name, right? It hasn't really been said before up to this point, right?
Yeah, I don't think they had said the name Halo.
Yeah, they're just now attributing Halo to this ring thing that they kept referencing. I mean, there's just a whole lot more characters in this than there ever was in the games, right? The Covenant has like a almost like a like Illuminati type, governor board, and there's this girl.
See, that was in the games. So like the Prophet of Truth and Mercy and all that, like
is that in 1 and 2?
I'm trying to remember if they're in 1, but in 2 for sure.
See, it's been a number of years.
You fight some of the prophets in the second
but there
game.
Wasn't this girl
and the third game.
There wasn't this human girl,
and she's a big issue for me.
I think that she's his sister.
I think that she's a terrible character, and I wish she didn't exist. The whole freaking fingernail plasma sword, are you kidding me? That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. That was awful. She might be a sister, maybe.
Well, you remember it shows these two people these two little kids in the beginning of the last episode, like running away, like there's been a whole bunch of destruction in their town. I think one of them is John and the other one is the girl. So they actually kiss, so not brother and sister, but like I think they knew each other beforehand.
Maybe. I don't think that they're family. I think that they're just supposed to be two people that are like tied into the Forerunners or something.
Yeah.
They haven't really mentioned Forerunners yet, but I feel like that's what's going on here because the technology they're touching is Forerunner technology.
So Styx says he doesn't follow Halo, but he likes the show. If they called it anything else, it definitely would have been reviewed better. I think is what he meant, reviewed.
Yeah, received or something better.
Received better.
Yes, I agree. In fact, I probably wouldn't even mind the girl as much if it wasn't called Halo, because she's maybe not a bad character. It's just that here's my issue with her. The Covenant hate humans, like hate them, and so like in the most normal lore of Halo, I could never see them teaming up.
But I think that it answers that because she has this gift to react with these artifacts.
They do answer it. It's just I just don't like it. Like this weird human girl that's like in charge of them. I just like she kind of is like their leader in some ways. Like not entirely, but like
see, I still think those three are the leader, but they just hold her in high regard because they
are.
But I think what's going to happen is John and this girl are going to at some point converge and come in contact with one of these artifacts, and then we're going to really see some fireworks once both of them touch it.
I'm looking forward to more action because since the first episode, there's been very little. Don't think any Covenant got killed in this one. That was a bummer. I don't even think there was any Covenant in this episode at all. The episode was okay though. Like there was some cool story. Like I'm enjoying seeing, John. Like I wasn't a huge fan of his helmet coming off in the first episode, but I'm understanding it more now. I get it. I understand the removing the inhibitor chip to have him have more emotion. I think it's cool that he's learning about his backstory. I like that they're showing the conflicting feelings of, hey Halsey, what's going on here? Because I don't think at this point John knows that Dr. Halsey basically kidnapped a bunch of kids.
Yep.
And enslaved them and made them into Spartans.
Kind of has a Black Widow storyline to it, huh? I feel
it
like
definitely
this show
does.
I feel like this show is like a mix between like Red Sparrow, Black Widow, and The Mandalorian with a little bit of a Star Trek flair in it, like the science fiction part.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of just feels like Halo.
It doesn't feel like Halo though. That's when you're beef.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. It's what was the point I was going to make? I don't know. Anyway, I'm enjoying the story. I'm liking where it's going. One theory I have, and I'd be okay with this if my theory turns out to be correct, because in this latest episode, the other Spartan, I can't remember her name, she took her chip out, and so she's starting to show emotion.
Where do I know that girl from?
I don't know, but she looks a lot like, why am I blanking on their name? Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones. I cannot think of the actress's name. You wouldn't know who that is anyway, but she looks kind of similar to that actress. But anyway, I think what's happening here. So you got Miranda Keyes, who's the daughter of Halsey, which is weird because that wasn't the case in the games, but whatever. Miranda Keyes is kind of studying the artifacts. She's starting to get to know the Spartans more. And in Halo lore, there's the Spartan 1s, which, as I understand it, the Spartan 1 program pretty much just failed. They all died. The Spartan 2 program is what Chief and all these other Spartans appear to be. And then the Spartan 3 program comes in later, and it doesn't have like the emotion suppression, and soldiers volunteer for it, and it's not as ethically shady, the Spartan 3 program. Granted, the Spartans aren't as strong, they're not as tall and enhanced, but
wait a minute.
I think that Miranda is going to create the Spartan 3 program. I think that that's where this is leading.
Miranda is Halsey's daughter? I thought
Yes.
Miranda was the Admiral's daughter.
She is.
No, Halsey's the doctor.
Yes.
The Admiral.
Yeah, the Admiral
female,
and Halsey got jiggy with it.
No, the female Admiral. The woman.
Oh, no, the male or general or whatever he is. But
this whole time I was thinking that the female Admiral was her mother. I didn't make that connection. I watched these kind of like while I'm kind of working a little bit.
In Halo lore, that's not the case. As far as I'm aware, Miranda is not Dr. Halsey's daughter, but in the show she is. And whatever, that's fine, I guess, if they want to do that. And Miranda, from what I remember in the games, isn't this sciencey either. She's more of a military person, but she's a cool character, and I'm liking her in this too. So whatever, I don't mind that change. That's one I'm more okay with. But I think that she's going to create the Spartan 3s, and I think that'd be cool. So like, for anyone that's a Halo game fan, Bucky, who is played by Nathan Fillion, he's a Marine in the Halo 3 ODST game. He's actually the Marine you play as. And then by Halo 5, he's a Spartan 3. And that's cool. Like, it's a character that you know and love. And Locke in Halo 5 is a Spartan 3 as well. And pretty much all of Team Osiris are Spartan 3s. And they're enhanced, but not quite as enhanced as like the Spartan 2s. And I think that's where this is leading. Maybe not this season. Maybe it'll take a season or two, but I could see that happening.
So the actress that that puts the red in her hair, what's the name of her character on this? It's Kai 125. She is actually, she's most of her
Captain
experience
Phasma, yep.
Experience has been in video game voice acting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but not in Halo.
Interesting.
She was in Mass Effect. She was in.
Who was she in Mass Effect? Does it say?
Mass Effect. She was Avila Kajar.
That's not a character that
Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh,
Divinity Original Sin 2. She was the Elves. World of Warcraft. She was in Battlefield V.
So speaking of voice actors, though,
she was in Valhalla, Assassin's Creed.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So, speaking of voice actors, the same voice actress who played Cortana is Cortana in this, and that makes me so happy every time.
Hey,
honestly, it makes me happy.
Can I ask you something about that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that whole storyline kind of confused me a little bit. So Halsey clones herself. She's in this egg thing because that is the actress that's playing Halsey that's in the egg. They then take her essence and install it into Master Chief, and then it comes out looking like Cortana, but it doesn't look like Halsey. So why did wouldn't it have made more sense if the actress that they modeled Cortana as was in the egg?
Yes, it would have made more sense if it was the same actress playing both parts.
Yeah, I just don't.
Which is the case in the games. So Jen Taylor, who plays the voice of Cortana, is Dr. Halsey in the games too, and she does a really good job at disguising her voice and sounding you can tell it's the same person because it is the same like genetic person, but they sound really different. So I did think that was weird that they didn't have the same actress, but I'm okay with it. And I think the reason is because that I think it's because Jen Taylor doesn't do physical like acting as much, and so maybe they didn't want her to be Dr. Halsey and Cortana. Like I don't know, I could be wrong, but
well, I mean, she does physical acting because she is the hologram. That's her, right?
Sure. So she does like she does video capture and stuff, but she's usually like a voice actress.
Yeah.
So, which doesn't mean she can't act, because pretty much all voice actresses started probably in stage theater and stuff like that. Like she can act. Just I don't know. I'm just thinking it's because
she's only done voice acting.
Yeah, and so that doesn't bug me. Like they look similar. I think the two actresses have a similar vibe. But yeah, if you wanted it to be really accurate, the same actress should have done it.
I could definitely tell it's a different person. Like,
well, yeah, I can too.
It looks different. I just didn't understand that. I was like, why did she change her? Like, she's bald in this egg thing, and then she gets installed into John, and then looks like a completely different person with like a bob cut. I'm like,
yeah.
what?
So, well, the haircut, that's always been the case. Like the haircut of Cortana's always.
She looks like Cortana from the games. Like I follow. That.
And she
I'm just saying
awesome.
in the show, it doesn't, the transition doesn't make sense.
Sure. But I'm very happy because when they showed the first trailer of Cortana, she just looked like a normal human with like a little bit of a blue hue.
Yeah.
But in the final version of the show, she looks awesome.
Yeah, like, she looks like Cortana.
Yeah, she looks so good, and I just love it. That's my favorite part of the show. Every time Jen Taylor speaks, I'm just like, oh, this is so good. And it really makes me wish that, like, I get it. You wanted Pablo Schreiber to do it. Whenever his helmet's off, that's fine. But when his helmet was on, like, you could explain it as like a voice modulator that makes him sound different. If we could have had Steve Downes do the voice when he's got the helmet on, oh, that would be cool. That'd make me so happy.
Yeah.
I would love it if Steve Downes is in some kind of cameo. I would just love to see him. He's just that voice is so iconic, and I would love him to have some kind of appearance in the show.
My camera's all blurry. There we go. Now I don't look like I'm in a fishbowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
Let's move on to our next topic.
I took it off the screen.
That's okay. I moved the slide. There we go.
So what's this?
That's what I was about to say. So you a while back you said don't put words on it. We want to tell people the news. So I didn't put any words on it. Basically, this is in reference to DC and Discovery, like the buyout of Discovery, Warner, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what I'm getting at here is that Discovery, like recently when they took over, they have said that they want to install a Kevin Feige-like into the DC universe. They want more movies like Joker. They want Superman to have more of a presence. They have all these things that we've been saying on this show for a long time that we want, and
Years.
It sounds like that's what
we were saying
want.
it on Couch Crunchers, and we were saying it on Absolute. We've been saying it for years.
Yeah, and that's what they want, and so I'm really hopeful. And the reason I put James Gunn up here is because there's been fans crying for him to be the new Kevin Feige.
I don't want that.
I agree with you.
I don't want that. Not anything against James Gunn. I'm not entirely convinced that he would be very true to the entire DC landscape. Like, he has a niche that is these ensemble movies, and he's really good at it, and I want him to keep making those movies, and I just don't think he's the guy to build this whole tapestry. I don't think it's Zack Snyder either. Matt brought up a suggestion last week of Kevin Smith, and Kevin Smith, dude, you have no idea. Kevin Smith has written some of the best DC comics ever. He understands comics. He understands that universe more than anybody else that you could name.
Maybe I shouldn't have been so quick to say no, but I don't know. I know
think,
Kevin Smith is a super nerd and he understands stuff.
He wouldn't be directing any movies. He would just be the architect of this, which he's a comic book writer. He would just be because Kevin Feige, you got to think, never sits in the director's chair. He's just kind of like, okay, And he has a team around him. He's assembled these people around him that know comics, and him and his team do all these things together, and they build these fantastic movies. Kevin Smith could be that guy. If you separate the creative part from just the nerd, because they want somebody that understands the business side, which Kevin Smith does, and they also need somebody that gets the source material. And who else could that be?
So you do bring up a good point. I'm not. Mm-hmm. I'm softening to the idea. Kevin Smith definitely knows the material, and I think that he could help to produce good content. Here's my here's my concern, and maybe it's unwarranted. So Kevin Feige is also just like a really good businessman. Like, yes, he's a film guy, and I think he loves the material, and he's really smart. Like, he's got a good mind behind him. But I think part of it is that he's a very successful executive. Kevin Smith is not like traditionally, he's not like an executive kind of a guy.
Dude, and this guy, so let me correct you there, because you got to think of what this guy has done, right? What Kevin Smith has done. Kevin Smith took this cheesy little black and white movie called Clerks and turned it into a entertainment empire. You got to think he's done cartoons, he's done comic books, he's done merchandise. He has that traveling restaurant movies that he does where he goes to city to city to city and opens up. He is a businessman. He's taken this little indie movie and turned it into a spawning franchise. Like, all of his movies interconnect. He has all these arms that branches that branch off into all these other things. He has created a media empire with obviously nothing near what Marvel is or DC is or any of these other things, but he did that, and 20, 30 years later, I don't know when Clerks came out. It's been decades. People are still clamoring for that content.
Yeah, it's cult class. It's cult classic stuff for sure.
Yeah,
like, there's a lot of people that like it. So maybe Kevin Smith would be good. I'm not sure if he's the right one, but he's better than James Gunn. Like, yes. And I love James Gunn, but I want James Gunn to be in the director's chair. I mean, if he wants to executive produce stuff like Peacemaker, I know he didn't necessarily write every episode, but he wrote most of it and directed most of it.
Yeah.
So that's how I want him to be involved, because he's awesome in that regard.
James Gunn has his strengths. Kevin Smith is a really good storyteller. I just don't know. Maybe he's not the best director for these big budget films, because he's been handed a big budget film before and it flamed out with Cop Out with Bruce Willis and who else was in that? Was that Tracy Morgan?
Yeah, that was Tracy Morgan.
Yeah, in which it flamed out. That thing was just an absolute mess. And he's made movies that his fans want to see. But some of the best episodes of The Flash and Supergirl, he's written really good comic books.
Yeah,
he did those.
He directed, I think, my favorite episode of The Flash, which is the one with the Trickster.
Mm-hmm.
That episode is phenomenal. Granted, a lot of that's Mark Hamill, but direction has a big role in that. And I think he wrote that one too. So don't get me wrong, Kevin Smith does some good stuff. Like, he does. So maybe he'd be good. I'm just pushing back a little.
It's just, what's the alternative? Because they mentioned this woman that they were vetting that actually turned it down. I've never heard of her before in my life. Nothing against her being a woman. A woman could do this job very well. It's just, I don't know who this person is. What is her experience with the source material? Kevin Smith, we know his experience with the source material. Yeah. We've seen what he's done with some of the source material. I think he's in last week when Matt brought it up, I was like, I don't know. And after a week of thinking about it, I'm like, no, that is a perfect recommendation, because there's no one else. I want Kevin Smith to run DC. I want Jon Favreau to run Star Wars, and I want Kevin Feige to run Marvel. And I think that we would get some fantastic content if those three men were at the helm.
Definitely agree with you on Jon Favreau doing the Star Wars. I think that would be incredible.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin Feige has done some great stuff. They need an architect. an architect, somebody that understands how movies are made. Because you got to think Kevin Feige has been producing movies ever since, I'm not sure what his first movie is, but I know he produced all the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, he's been in the business a long time. He's got a lot of background, and he's not a name anyone knew until the MCU came around. And so that's the thing. Like I can't remember the name of the woman that they had suggested as well, but for all I know, she's been around for decades doing DC stuff. And I just, you know what I mean? Like I don't always pay attention to who the executive producer is. Like I noticed that on the Zack Snyder ones, his wife is an executive producer. Like just because I notice, Snyder is the last name. But for the most part, I don't usually notice that unless it's Scarlett Johansson was an executive producer, or Ryan Reynolds was an executive producer on their movies, or like you notice that. But I don't usually pay attention.
And a lot of these people get that producer. I mean, that's in their contract. They get these producer credits, right? But they're not the architect, right? They're just So Stick says, truthfully, I think DC needs a tribunal of creators to get them out of this hit and miss crap DCEU.
I don't agree. That's what they have now.
Well, Kevin Feige has a group of people that he trusts where they build these worlds out. So I think, of
course, he can't do it all by himself.
Yeah, I think you need one head of the table, which could be Kevin Smith, and then Kevin Smith could then bring in, these people that he trusts that understand the source material. Like, just think about if he just brings in the guys from Comic Book Men, and it's just Kevin Smith and Brian and all these other guys from Comic Book Men, and they're the ones that build the whole thing. I guarantee you're gonna love the shit that they do.
I agree with you. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I get it. Like, so for Xbox, a lot of people. Like Phil Spencer is the Kevin Feige of Xbox. Yeah. He is, the head of Xbox and very well liked, but he's like the face that everyone knows and the name that everyone knows. Mm-hmm. But there's so many people around him that are helping.
Oh yeah, any good leader has good people around him. That's just one of the qualities of a leader, right? Is that you're that you're really good at hiring people around you.
Well, it's like, so like, I know we talk about Jon Favreau and how he, we want him in Star Wars, but like I've definitely talked a lot of crap about Kathleen Kennedy, but there's also been a lot of good stuff that has come out from Star Wars with her. Like the only things, and I know these are big, but the sequel trilogy, not great, but otherwise I've pretty much liked everything that's come out from Star Wars since Disney took over. We like Rogue One and we like Mando. I like Solo. I like Mando. I overall liked Book of Boba Fett. I loved season 7 of Clone Wars. I like the Bad Batch. I won't say I love it.
Is she in charge of the cartoons?
Rebels. Well, she's the head of Star Wars, so she's involved to some degree with all of it.
Yeah, but I think what the thing with Star Wars,
Dave Filoni's a huge part of this cartoons for Star Wars.
Yeah, I think the thing with Star Wars is that Kathleen Kennedy is like green lighting this stuff. Maybe I don't know how that works, but she maybe is not good at, like, it's hit or miss with some of the talent that she's hired around her, like directors and stuff.
Yeah, J.J. Abrams was a mistake.
Yep. Chris Lord and or Chris Miller and Phil Lord. I don't know. Those guys that started Solo, they fired them and brought Ron Howard in.
Ryan
Johnson, J.J. Abrams. So there's been, but then she got, who did Rogue One?
Wasn't
it a woman?
No, I don't think so, but I don't think so. I know they have a female director that's doing like all of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
We'll see how that is. But I mean, she brought in Jon Favreau, but I think more so it's been Jon Favreau said, I want to make this show.
Gareth Edwards is the director of Rogue One.
Which I think Rogue One is just phenomenal.
Oh, it's awesome. And a lot of that has to do with my boy, Gary Whitta. I call him my boy. He has no idea who I am. But I listen to a podcast that he's on for Xbox related stuff because he's a big gamer too.
Yeah.
But Gary Whitta was one of the lead writers on Rogue One, and to this day, it's one of the best Star Wars stories I've ever seen. And a lot of that has to do with his writing, but Gareth Edwards' direction, casting. I mean, Jyn Erso was awesome. So like I was having this conversation with people, and I'm sorry, I'm changing the topic a little bit, but I was
I
getting
think
into
it's
this
relevant.
conversation. Well, a little bit different, but still. I was having this conversation with someone because they were talking about the term woke, what that means.
You're breaking out, dude.
Am I really?
Yeah. Do I sound fine?
Yeah, you sound fine. Am I?
Yeah, you're
still breaking up.
Yeah, am I buffering?
I cannot. It says, darn it.
Yeah, Max got new internet today. Seems that we're still testing it out.
Is it still bad?
Yeah, it's still doing it.
I'm gonna come back.
So, he's a robot. Run. Oh, well, the slideshow goes away too. So it's the Lance show. The Lance show. It was the Lance show there for a minute.
Yeah, for a second. Is this better?
Yeah. Let's just keep the slides off the screen for a little bit because maybe it's bogging up your bandwidth a little bit.
Maybe.
But yeah. So you were saying with Star Wars, what?
I was just saying, I was getting into a conversation earlier this week because people were talking about what the term woke means and is it good, is it bad? And that's not the conversation I want to get into because people have very, very different opinions on that. And that's fine. But the conversation we were getting into is the one thing I don't like is how people will call like certain Star Wars fans bigots because they don't like the character of Rey. Personally, I don't really hate Rey. I don't love her. I think that she's not the greatest written character, but she's not the best, but whatever. But the issue I take with that is because these people will say, oh, you're such a sexist. You don't like women characters because you don't like Rey. I'm like, okay, but if you talk to any of those people, you know what they'll tell you? Jyn Erso is awesome. Leia is awesome. Padme is awesome. Ahsoka is awesome.
Yeah.
So the reality of it is we just want good writing. And so that's what I was saying earlier. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm changing the subject. It just reminded me of something that like bothers me. People getting all mad at Star Wars fans. Oh, you're a sexist because you don't like Rey. Well, that's not really a fair thing to say. Like, it's so like, yeah.
Well, it kind of brings up the point of Captain Marvel and Black Widow, right? Like, I wanted these two movies to be good, and I really like Brie Larson, and I really like Scarlett Johansson in those roles. My issue isn't with how these two women portrayed the characters. It was the writing that was done for them, right? So the issue with Captain Marvel is that she's just a little bit too powerful. There's nothing really like, she's like a Superman character, but without the kryptonite.
That's literally, right? That's the same argument people make for Rey. And I think it's a valid argument.
Yeah.
Like,
and my issue with Black Widow is that movie came about 10 years too late.
Well, that's true. But you know what? That's okay. We got Elena out of it. Yelena, she's awesome.
Yeah, Yelena's awesome, and Scarlett Johansson's awesome in Black Widow. I love her as Black Widow. It's just the movie could have been better. Yeah. Then you have Shang-Chi come out, and Shang-Chi is about an Asian character, and I love that fucking movie.
So good. It's so
I love that movie. He is awesome.
Amazing.
Then you have the Eternals come out, and the Eternals is kind of just a dud too, and it sucks because so far all these movies with these female-led characters, because you could argue that the Eternals, the main character, is a female.
Yeah.
And they're not good. But on the flip side, Wonder Woman was fucking awesome.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah. Yes, 1984 was a little. They stretched the storyline a little bit to put Steve Trevor back in, and I don't like that. But Wonder Woman was awesome. Gal Gadot. Yes, she is awesome. She is my Wonder Woman. I want her to continue playing the character for as long as possible. Jyn Erso from Rogue One. That movie is awesome, and I understand how that movie ends. But I do want to see it. I want to see a sequel to it, and I understand there can't be, but whatever. It was that good.
Well, there's not going to be a sequel, but there's going to be a prequel to it. Like, we are going to get more of some of those characters, because Andor.
Well, yes, but not Jyn Erso.
Probably not. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't
Yeah.
really make much sense if she was in it.
Right. And she's my favorite part of that movie. I think she's awesome.
Leftover Zaggy says, no, she's mine. Talking about Wonder Woman, I'm pretty sure.
But you know, I have a lot of faith for Haley Steinfeld taking over the mantle of Hawkeye. I have a lot of faith in this Ironheart show that's coming out, in Miss Marvel. She-Hulk has got me worried a little bit based on some of the reports coming out, but I want these things to succeed. I want these things to do well. Yelena, Florence Pugh that plays Yelena, she's the new Black Widow. I want her to succeed because I love that actress, and I've been preaching about her for a while, right, Max?
Oh yeah.
Ever since Fighting with My Family came out, which is a fantastic movie.
It is.
So I think it's really unfair that somebody can't say, I didn't really like that movie, and then get labeled as a bigot or as a sexist or
100% agree with you.
Whatever. I think you need to listen to the entire conversation before you just start labeling. I'm perfectly fine with people being woke. I think it's fine. But there's a point where you become a woke warrior, where I think that that's the issue. There's a show that I watch on Hulu called Woke. Hilarious show. And they actually make fun in this episode. The whole show is about being woke, and it kind of praises the woke mantra and all these things. And then in the second episode, they make fun of one of these woke warriors that is preaching to this guy that goes around talking about police brutality and all this stuff. I think there's a point where you're woke and you understand there's injustices in this world, and then you become a woke warrior where you're making other people feel bad.
Well, you're throwing temper tantrums.
Yes.
Well, you know what we don't throw temper tantrums about, or at least we shouldn't? The fact that companies are letting people work from home more. And if you're watching the YouTube, the thing I want to talk about, and this is slightly less nerdy, but it was a cool article. Bungie is kind of opening up the way they manage their studio, and they are going to be allowing people to work remotely in 7 states across the United States. And I thought it would be fun to put a picture of someone playing video games at their house as a work from home picture. Because, I mean, are you really working or are you just gaming? But I mean, I work, but hey man, my lunch break, I'll play some video games. Shoot, why not? Hey, that's one of the advantages, right? But they're opening up, and I don't know why they're only doing 7 states, but they're opening up Washington, California, Oregon, Illinois, Florida, North Carolina, and Texas, where they're going to have most and future roles being fully remote eligible. But they've also said that this is just the beginning. They're going to be continuing to open up more states to be completely remote.
I think,
and right now they're located in Seattle, I believe. So I think that's great.
I think that's extremely smart for any company to do, if you have the technology available to do work from home, because you are going to be able to get the best talent. Because there's people, for instance, with my role now with American Family, I was offered this role prior, just a couple weeks before this, before I got, my position, but it would have taken me, the same role would have taken me to Washington. And I'm like, I don't know. But it opened up here, and I was able to take it here, the same role, and not have to move. But I almost didn't take it because it was going to have me move to Washington. And I have family, I have friends here that I don't want to move, you know? So I think that when you open up these opportunities to some of these other states, to these people that maybe right now they're not in the best position to move, it's going to improve your company in the long run.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, you can find studies that show both things, but studies have shown that productivity increases when you work from home, morale improves. Now, and it depends on the person. There's some people that really want to go into an office, but for me, I was shocked. So like, I asked to work remotely right before the pandemic. It just was a coincidence that I started working from home at the same time as all my other coworkers who started working at home. Yeah. But they're now going back to the office and I'm not. But
because they opened up your state for you. There's no one that works for your company here, right?
Yeah. Well, and because I moved from Colorado back to Arizona, with the intention of working from home. I'm always working from home now. Like I have a telework agreement and everything like that. Whereas people that were just working from home for COVID, it was different. Like they didn't have a telework agreement. It was just because of COVID, you're at home.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make with this, and I know this isn't usually our topic, it's just something I'm really passionate about. I love the fact that people can work from home. Like this is such a wonderful thing, and employers need to be more open-minded about it. And I think most employers are getting there. But some are still like, no, we need you in the office. Collaboration's better, la-di-da-di-da. And don't get me wrong, there's value to in-person things. Like I'm going for my new role to Baltimore for like a week at the beginning of May. And that's going to be great because I'm going to get to meet my coworkers and do some trainings and get some FaceTime with my boss and on all that. So like
I'm going to Vegas in the middle of May to commune with the West region of my company.
So there you go. See, super valuable. Like that kind of stuff is valuable. And then in early June, I have another work trip for about a week where like I'm going to be meeting all the sales guys and all the salespeople, not just guys, but like big sales conference and meeting a ton of other people and networking. So like that's good. But I love the fact that I got a promotion at work. And usually in my company, when you get a new promotion, you move desks or move to a new office or whatever. Well, I did get a virtual new desk, but I'm literally in the same spot. So like I'm remoting into a new computer now. And like I do have an assigned office location, which I have no idea where it is. I don't know because like people in my role sometimes get their own office. I don't know if there's just an empty office that's like available to me. I doubt it. Like, I don't know why they'd give me an office when I'm not going to use it. But anyway, like it's just kind of funny. But Zaggy in the comments is saying, I want a 4-day work week. I wish more companies would do that. I'm totally with you,
like
dude.
4-day work. So like California's passing this law where like they're going to change the work week to like 32 hours or anything over 32 hours is overtime. I don't agree with that. I think 40 hours is it's technically 38 that they make you work, right? You work 38 hours. I think 38 hours is completely reasonable. If you want to consolidate that into 4 days.
Where are you getting 38?
It's like 38.7. It's just
for full time?
Yeah, well, when you're hourly, it's 38.7 to give you that little bit of wiggle room for overtime. Does that make sense?
I didn't know that. I haven't been overtime for most of my career.
Yeah. Most companies I worked for where they paid, I'm salary now, but most companies, and I work way more than 40 hours most of the time. Most companies I worked for, hourly employees, that kept you at a 38.5 mark to give you that hour and a half of wiggle room.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, 60 hours in 3 days. That's horrible.
Yeah, Zaggy, that's rough, dude.
Yeah, but California wants to do a 4-day work week of 8-hour days, and I'm like, well, like I just don't understand.
I've read some studies, dude, that's actually like like people get as much done in those 4 8-hour days as they would have in the 5. But then
Maybe
they're
I'm
happier.
completely wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I like
it's interesting. I do too. And I wouldn't mind. I don't know what I would do if I only had to work 8 hours a day for 4 days. Granted, again, because I'm salary, it's different. Like I don't necessarily work 8 hours a day. Sometimes I only work 6. Sometimes I work 10. Sometimes I work 12. Like it just, I usually don't work less than 8, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I take a 3-hour lunch. That's the beauty of working from home. Because I'm like, you know what? I've got some errands to run, and I take like a 3-hour lunch, and I come back and I log off at my usual time because I've done all my work.
Yeah.
And I saw this really cool post on LinkedIn the other day that I loved. They said, "Dear employer, over the last 2 years, I've taken 2-hour lunches. I've napped during work. I've played with my kids. I've watched TV. And you know what? You haven't noticed. Because my work is getting done. My clients are happy. Productivity is up. And you're getting all of your expectations met." And I'm like, absolutely. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating for just watching TV at work and not doing anything. Like, I'll have the TV on in the background when I'm working, but half the time I don't even know what's going on because I'm working. Like, I'm focused on my work. But I am advocating for having a flexible work style if you can. There's some jobs you can't have that. Like, you can't work from home if you're doing construction. That's not reasonable, know, unless you're like,
you can't work
an architect or something.
If you're flipping burgers at McDonald's.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of professions out there. that you can't work from home.
You can't do brain surgery from home.
But could you do a 4-day work week in those jobs? I think you could.
Yeah, especially with medical professionals, I think they work way too much, and it would probably lead to less malpractice suits if they worked them less. Yeah. But I agree with you. I think my biggest thing is that I just don't have to drive an hour and a half into the office, and an hour and sitting in rush hour traffic just puts you in a foul mood.
Yeah, or okay. So earlier this week, what was it, Thursday morning, I had a meeting at work, and then I went up to my wife and I'm like, hey, it's 9:00. Rather than me taking lunch at noon, do you want to just go grab some breakfast? So I took the family out and we got breakfast. And then I came back and I worked the rest of the day. I took my lunch at 9, even though I had logged in at 7:30. Whatever. I still got my work done.
If you don't have a meeting during that time.
Yeah, and I think that's so valuable. So anyway, that's not usually what the Absolute Geek Podcast is about. This is like a LinkedIn special version today. But I loved this topic and wanted to touch on it.
Well, look at what we're doing right now, man. We're doing a podcast from our homes.
Yeah.
You're at your house, I'm at my house. When we first started Couch Crunchers, we tried to do it all together, and it was just a clusterfuck.
It was so much easier to do it remotely. So much easier.
Jay hates it, but...
Yeah, he likes that in person. And some people do. Some people really like in person. Like that's what I said earlier. That's fine.
I was hesitant to move to this. I think I'm better this way, because I'm sitting in my underwear right now. No, I'm just kidding.
You could be. Like if I wanted, okay, so usually I start my day in my underwear. And then about an hour and a half into my day, I go shower, put some clothes on, and I get back to work. So
I can't sit at my computer unless I've taken a shower, dude. I can't do it. I just feel like my juices are just getting into my chair and stuff, dude. I just can't do it.
I get it. But lately, I haven't been able to do that. My new role, they have meetings at 8 a lot more. My other role never did, and I usually log in at 7:30. So now I'm getting up and putting my clothes on and being ready for meetings.
Yeah, my boss used to do this thing in the middle of meetings. She'd yell pants, and we all had to stand up.
That's so funny.
And depending on what you're wearing, meant you got made fun of the rest of the meeting.
So Styx is over here saying, and that's how Max works from home, kids. I would be perfectly fine with my boss watching this segment. I have no concerns about this. And that's a privilege of the company I work for probably as well. They're flexible. We did an introduction meeting and I had my camera on and I had my company background on my Zoom instead of my normal background. And they said, tell us an interesting fact about yourself. And I said, well, I'm a nerd. Clicked my background off and everyone got to see my crap back here. And we talked about Star Wars and DC and so I will admit I work for a really good company where the management understands that life exists outside of work. And you know what I mean? So maybe that's part of it. That's why I'm not intending on leaving anytime soon. I get paid well. I have a really flexible work-life balance, and I'm happy. So,
yeah. I've been with my company for 7 years now, and I don't plan on ever leaving. Yeah. They've treated me so well. And I've worked for some shitty companies. So this company is amazing. So what's next?
Well, I was just going to say, you know who I wish... No, you're good. I was trying to do a segue. You know who I wish would leave? Steven. Leave Mark the frick alone, Steven. Let him do his crap.
All right, okay? So let's talk about what we've seen so far. So episode 3 just debuted, right? Yep. So the first episode, we meet Steven. Steven's having some lost time issues and waking up in strange places and stealing scarabs and stuff. Episode 2, we finally meet Mark, and we kind of see what Mark has been doing when Steven's not aware. And now this episode, it is episode 3, right?
Yes.
Yeah. In this episode, shit, what happened in this episode?
It was the worst episode, so you're not wrong for forgetting.
We kind of learn that there's this council of other gods, and Mark tries to go to this council and show them that Ethan Hawke's character is trying to wake up this evil god, and convinces this council that he is not doing that, and that Mark is crazy and all these other things. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
By the way, that was a really weird scene with the Kanashu. What's his name?
Khonshu, I think.
Khonshu, like screaming out through Mark.
Oh yeah, that was awkward.
That was weird, right?
Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of this episode overall. There were some okay aspects and parts to it, but sorry, I had too much soda too fast. I'm burping. I just wasn't into it, man. I just that part was weird, and Steven was really annoying, and I know that they're building, but like Steven wasn't the only one annoying. That was annoying. But Mark was too. Like there were times where I'm like, Mark, just freaking let Steven take over and do his thing. Like I'm sure they're going to build to them like them giving control to each other and like coexisting. But man, they're like so combative with each other. They get in their own way a lot.
Well, you gotta consider, like, think about yourself.
I know, you're right.
You live this life, and then all of a sudden you figure out that you're living this double life that you had no idea was going in, and now you're right. Feeling out of control. Like, I totally get it.
I totally get it. I just don't like watching it.
Mark, but it's real. I like real stuff, you know. But Mark's whole thing is that he's afraid to give Steven the body back because Steven doesn't relinquish control back to Mark, right? And he has this whole agreement with Khonshu, and he's trying to keep his wife protected, and there's all these things going on. So he's afraid to give Steven control because Steven has been known to fuck things up, right? Now we're learning in this episode that there may be another personality. And I forget.
That was interesting. That was a cool part.
Yeah, so now
like all those people that are being killed and neither of them know what's going on.
Yeah, now Mark and Steven are having periods of lost time. And I forget is it Jeremy it's this, well, in the comics he's like this cab driver that's like this detective, right? He has all these like leads and people that he gets information from and stuff. He's more of the detective side, right?
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense that he's like more brutal than the other ones, but whatever. Is it Scotty Sticks? Scotty doesn't know. So do you get that reference, Max?
Nope.
You've never seen, is it Road Trip? Scotty doesn't know. Scotty, you don't know that?
Nope.
Oh fuck, dude. Every time we do a show and I find out you haven't seen another movie, I'm like, what the fuck?
I play a lot of video games.
Road Trip is a great movie. It is Road Trip, I think. I don't know. But Matt Damon is this in the beginning of the movie. So there's this guy that has this girlfriend, and it's Kristen Cruick from Smallville, I think, is the girlfriend. And turns out the girlfriend has been dating Matt Damon's character behind the main character's back. And Matt Damon's character is a punk band singer, and he's singing this song at this party about Scotty doesn't know, and basically outing this affair that's going on.
Oh, I've seen that. Okay. I have seen that clip. Okay.
Yes. Okay. But I don't think that's the cab driver's name from the comics.
What?
The
Scotty?
Yeah, I think it's but yeah, sorry. I went off on a tangent talking about Jake. It's Jake Lockley, I think, is who the third personality is. And Jake Lockley is a detective, pretty much. He's a cab driver. He has a lot of informants and stuff like that, and he's like the information gatherer of these three personalities.
Okay.
But I do think that there's something with that whole Scotty thing. I don't know. There could be two things with the security guard continually calling Steven the wrong name. It's showing that Steven is kind of a fly on the wall and nobody really pays attention to him, and he's just kind of there and people don't even bother to remember his name, which I think is perfectly reasonable for the type of character he is.
Mm-hmm.
Or the security guard has insight and knows that thinks that has met both Steven and Scotty and just remembers Scotty.
You mean Jake?
Well, no, he calls him Scott.
Oh, sorry,
repeatedly.
The security guard. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So that could be the case. I think it's the former. I think it's the fact that he just doesn't remember Steven's name because Steven is not memorable.
Yeah.
But Jake Lockley, I think, is the third personality.
So here's what I'll say I did like about this episode, because one of my complaints, I've enjoyed the show so far, but one of my complaints is that there hasn't been enough MoonKnight, and there was more MoonKnight in this one, so I did like that.
Oh yeah, you got to see him get down, dude.
Yeah, he was fighting all those guys and like getting stabbed with all sorts of spears and getting through it. And I did enjoy that part because you had Mr. Knight come out when Steven was taking over, and he pretty quickly was like, "Take over, Mark! Take over, Mark!" That was funny. There were some comedic moments, but like the parts in particular that bugged me is when like Mark would be interrogating somebody and about to get information, and Steven would like make him stop or take over. Like, stop hurting these people. Like, Steven, just can you leave it alone, dude? Can you leave it alone?
But I get it. Like, no, that doesn't bother me at all because it just shows you Steven's moral compass, that he doesn't like hurting people, and I think that it adds to the character to have that element. You have Mark, who has no problem hurting somebody to get what he wants, and then you have Steven, who's kind of meek and kind of a lover of humans in general. That I think it just adds to duality. So it's fine that we disagree. I'm just saying I think it adds to it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Me? No,
yeah.
No, I'm good.
I like the episode. It's just it wasn't the best.
Yeah, I liked the prior two quite a bit more, but I'm looking forward to what we have coming up, and I do think the story is taking interesting turns, like the villain's smart, Harrow. Sometimes I don't hear the H, and I feel like they're calling him Arrow. I'm like, why are they calling him Arrow? But Harrow. Harrow's an interesting villain.
Ethan Hawke is just a phenomenal actor.
He is.
It's amazing that they got him to do this role. He's just such a good actor.
But I'll say so far, of all the Marvel shows, this is closer to the bottom as far as my enjoyment so far. But that isn't to say this is bad. It's just to say that all of the shows have been really good.
What's your top?
WandaVision.
WandaVision?
Mm-hmm.
Mine, I have a hard time deciding between Loki and WandaVision.
Loki's my second, and it's close because Loki is very good.
And then I think my third is Hawkeye, then Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then this. But I have heard that the fourth episode, so next week episode, is the bombshell, is the one where people are going to have their jaws on the floor.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, so the first 4 episodes is what they gave press to view before the show debuted. They were able to watch the first 4 episodes. I do think that if it is Jake Locke, we're going to meet him next episode. I hope that that's not the reveal because they kind of spoiled it. Marvel has a tendency with these shows, I've noticed, to spoil things a little prematurely. They did that with Kingpin, where you could definitely tell that was Vincent D'Onofrio, which I would have liked that reveal, like to not have known he was there until the second to last episode. You know what I mean? But they gave you that little tease in the third episode. Like, just hold it to your chest a little bit closer. You kind of, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you kind of get the inclination that what's Agent Peggy Carter's Sharon Carter. You kind of get the inclination that she is the is it the broker?
Yeah. That she's the broker or whatever.
Yes, Gaspard Ulliel that plays this king or whatever he is, passed away, so they had a nice little memorial for him at the end of the episode. But WandaVision, you kind of start to realize that what's going on, like in the third to last episode, it kind of spoils things a little bit. You start to realize that there's the Quicksilver thing is not all it seems, and Agatha is not all it seems, and I just wish they were a little bit better about keeping these things close to their chest.
Yeah.
So we get that shock. You know what I mean? When Captain America picked up Thor's hammer, there was shock there, right? And like I love those moments where you're sitting there, you're not knowing that something's about to happen, and it just happens, and you just get that glee over it.
That's me with Star Wars, dude. When the Mandalorian episode came on for Boba Fett, I'm like, wait, what? And then the next episode, you got Grogu and you got Luke and you got all this stuff. I was grinning from ear to ear, and then Cad Bane shows up, and like literally, dude,
that was a shocker. Cad Bane, that came out of nowhere.
Well, that like whole episode was a shocker. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh,
Um.
it was amazing. So, but that's my Star Wars fan in me, which I just had someone on the internet tell me I'm not a Star Wars fan. So that was
Why?
fun. Because they used an acronym CIS, and I'm like, what the heck is that? It's the Confederation of Independent Star Systems, or otherwise known as the Separatists from the prequels. But like, it's okay if I don't know what the acronym means. Like especially when Confederation of Independent Star Systems is barely ever used anyway. Like, even if you don't know that term, it's okay. If you don't know the term separatist and you've seen the movies a bunch, you weren't paying attention. But not knowing Confederation of Independent Star Systems, they barely ever use that term. So, anyways, I did know that term, just didn't know CIS. I'm like, what is that? I don't know what that is.
I hate that people do that.
Oh, gatekeeping! It's the best. I love gatekeeping.
I hate that crap, man. Like, you know, when I was called out, someone said that I wasn't a true Spider-Man fan. You know, when we were talking about the Venom movies and stuff, and I'm just like, where do you come off? I don't understand
I don't
why
like
people
saying,
have to call your fandom. I don't understand that at all.
I agree. I don't think it's fair to say of anybody, you're not a true anything fan. If you start a sentence that way.
Now, if you say I'm a Star Wars fan, and I'd be like, oh, have you seen Rogue One? And you say no. Well, then I'm gonna call you. Then have you seen the sequel trilogy? No. Then I'm gonna call you on it. Right?
I mean, I agree with you and I disagree with you, right? Because earlier we were talking about Halo, and you said, "Oh, I'm a Halo fan. I played Halo 1 and 2."
Well, okay. So
that doesn't mean you're not a Halo fan if you haven't played the other ones.
I like Halo. I just don't really care for everything after Halo 2. I've played them, but I just didn't get as deep into them.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Halo 1
that's
and 2.
Fine.
I mean, I played Reach, I played all those games. I just not to the point that I played Halo 1 and 2.
I also think it's fine if you say that. I do think it's weird if you say that you're a huge Marvel fan, and yet, like, when Endgame comes out, you don't see it for 2 years. Like, that's a little weird to me. Like, if you say you're a huge Marvel fan, well, then why didn't you see the biggest Marvel movie? But whatever, like, you can still say that you're a fan even if you don't see it. Or, hey, I love Star Wars, but I haven't seen episode 8 or 9. Okay, you love Star Wars?
Well, a guy I work with, he said, "Oh yeah, I like Spider-Man." I was like, "Oh, you should go see the new movie." And he said, "Oh, I went and saw the new movie, and I walked out after 30 minutes because I didn't know what was going on." And then I said, "Well, did you watch the other ones?" He goes, "No, I haven't seen the other ones." I was like, "Well, dude, why would you do that?"
That would be confusing. That'd be really confusing for a lot of movies, but for that one especially.
Like, it's just movies have changed. Everything like interconnects. Everything is a franchise now, right? Yeah. Like you can't. It used to be that you could just jump in to a movie without seeing anything else, and you could, you know, like that movie just as much as the next guy. With these Marvel movies, you can't do that. There's so many things that would just be so disconnected, you know, that it just wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't track for you. But it's like these TV shows. So far we haven't seen any, and we're going to see it here with Doctor Strange. We haven't seen anything directly from the shows go into the movies, right? Where you need to watch the shows to understand what's going on in the movies. We haven't seen that yet. Doctor Strange is going to change that, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see what people say when Doctor Strange comes out.
Yeah. Well, I'm good to move on. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Talking about our.
This episode of the Absolute Geek Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped. If your balls are looking hairy, trim up with the Lawnmower 4.0. Okay. We love Manscaped. If you guys want to get some products for Manscaped, you can use the code AGeekPodcast to get 20% off and free shipping. Lance and I, we got the products, as did Matt. We've really enjoyed using them. I think last week they were talking about how mine broke because I'm just so thick down there.
No, you just wore out the battery, dude. It's just like I don't think anybody's ever used it as hard as you needed to use it.
Honestly,
they run these things through rigorous testing, but they just didn't consider that, a wildebeest would be using it, with like titanium hair.
Okay, but it's funny, and it's changed now. But growing up, my fingernails, I could not cut them with fingernail clippers because they were too thick. I had to use toenail clippers. And
you drank too much milk?
Well, I don't know if it was more a matter of like 13-year-old me wasn't strong enough to like clip it with fingernail clippers, or if my fingernails were really that thick. Because now I can do fingernail clippers, but I got so used to using toenail clippers that I still usually default to that. And then like it creates like all these like super sharp ridges when I cut my fingernails, and it's not great. Anyway, but I honestly considered using my Manscaped trimmer to not shave my head, but trim my head down today, because I'm just getting. I'm starting to get a bald spot like on the top of my head.
I used it just the other day for my head. It worked perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now clean it before you do it.
Yeah, that was the reason I didn't. Because I'm like, well, last time I used this, I used it on my downstairs package. But if you guys want, like, you can use the Lawnmower 4.0 to trim, a MoonKnight logo down there. If you're really good, get some Mark Spector logos, or in your chest, whatever. Do the bat symbol, whatever you want to do, man. That's that. You use it for whatever you want. It's a waterproof trimmer. It's extremely effective. It provides proprietary skin-safe technology, which reduces nicks and snags. And honestly, I love the Lawnmower 4.0. The nose trimmer is great. The weed whacker, the crop reviver, the ball deodorant, all that stuff. It's great. Matt used a different product this week. That's why he's not on the show. He actually caused some pretty severe damage to his package. He has to get stitches.
It's extensive plastic surgery for this downstairs.
Extensive plastic surgery. They're concerned they may not be able to have more kids. We told him, don't use anything.
That's a very risky joke. That is a very risky joke.
Why? What's risky about it?
Because what if something was going on and they couldn't have more kids, and then you pull that one out?
Okay, that you're right. And my wife and I have struggled with infertility a long time. Point is, you use Manscaped, you won't have to worry about literally cutting your balls out of your sack. Okay.
Oh man, I'm just playing with you, dude. Anyway. No, they're great products, and go check them out. Use a Geek Podcast as your promo code to get 20% off Manscaped and free shipping. Again, with that promo code.
Yeah, and that's any product. It's not just the full like package like we got. It's anything. You want to get the nose trimmers, you want to get some fingernail clippers or whatever. Like it's 20% off anything on the site. So
my favorite is the crop. What is it called? The crop. The lotion.
Crop preserver.
Yes, that's my favorite.
Yeah, I was honestly surprised how good it smells. It does.
Definitely,
dude, it smells good.
Definitely going to be putting that in my bag when we go to Phoenix Comic-Con.
Yeah, it's a good idea. A lot of stinky men.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Robbie Amel's got another job, huh?
Speaking of not stinky men, or at least I assume, like I would imagine Robbie Amell smells like the crop preserver. Robbie Amell, as well as 3 other people, we'll talk about all of them, have been cast in.
I don't know any of those other people.
Yes, you do. You do. But The Witcher season 3 has cast 4 new people. Robbie Amell is the name that we know the best. Meng Gerzon. She plays can't think of the character's name, but Shang-Chi's sister.
Oh, is that her?
Yeah, that's Shang-Chi's sister.
Oh, I didn't even recognize her. Now I recognize her that you said something. Yeah, she was awesome.
Yeah, she was great, and so she's going to be in the show. Robbie's playing a character known as Gallatin. I'm not familiar with that character. I thought
that said gelatin.
No, Gallatin.
I'm like that. What an unfortunate name, Gelatin.
Yeah, that would have been.
It's like, hey, try my Jello. Boys and girls, try the Jello. Don't drink that Cosby wine, folks.
So Gallatin's actually from the books. That's why I'm not familiar with him. He leads an army of guerrilla Scottle fighters. I'm not pronouncing that well, but they're part of Nilfgaard. So that's who he's going to be playing. You've got Hugh Skinner as well. That's going to be joining. He's going to be Prince
Do
Radovid.
we know that guy from somewhere?
I don't know the bottom two, Hugh Skinner or Christelle Elwyn. Them I'm not as familiar with. Like I saw. Oh, where did my link go? Oh well, I pulled up a link to get more information about this, but
IMDb.
I pulled it away. No, the IGN link. So Hugh Skinner is going to play Prince Radovid, a royal playboy that suddenly finds himself in the inner circle of Redanian intelligence, and this is from IGN.com. Skinner was in Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, Falling for Figaro, and Fleabag. I've seen Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, but I do not remember him in that.
I have not seen that.
Christelle Elwyn is going to be playing she's going to be playing a member of a gang called the Rats. She was in Half Bad and Bloods. I'm not familiar with either of those shows. But I'm just excited to see Robbie Amell in more stuff. And honestly, Mengers-On, like I don't know a lot about her character, but I like the actress. I thought she did a good job in Shang-Chi.
Oh yeah, she was awesome. She was awesome.
So she's gonna be an archer and huntress who was raised by dryads in Brooklyn Forest.
So she is going to be the antagonist in the next Shang-Chi, right? Isn't that how the end of the movie kind of teases her, is that she's the new leader of the 10 Rings?
Yeah.
So yeah, I like her. I like her a lot.
Oh, he was in Baby Driver. He said Baby Driver 2. Baby Driver 2 is not a thing. You meant Baby Driver TOO, like also?
Maybe that's what Baby Driver 2 is going to be a thing, I thought. I thought that was green lit.
Well, maybe he means that he was in Baby Driver, the original. I'm not super familiar with Hugh Skinner, but I am familiar with the character he's going to play, Prince Radovid. That character is in The Witcher 3, and they're a royal character, and in the Witcher lore, they play a pretty big role. So, I'm looking forward to it. I'm just glad season 3 is coming out sooner, because there were 2 years between 1 and 2, and I think the reason they're coming out faster is I should have looked this up. Tell me if you've heard this, Lance.
Yeah,
I saw something that Henry Cavill, I guess in his contract with Netflix, it said that his face could not appear in anything else for like 2 or 3 years or something. And that's part of the reason that his face wasn't in Peacemaker. It's part of the reason it wasn't in Shazam. It's like why you haven't really seen Henry Cavill in much stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Who would sign that contract?
Well, I guess him and his attorneys missed it.
Interesting.
Now I'm Googling it. Netflix face.
Well, fuck Netflix for even putting that in their contract. That's bullshit. Hey, you're an actor, but while you're doing this for us, you can't do anything else. No, fuck that.
Yeah, according to Cinephiles, I'm not familiar with this source, so I want to vet it a little bit more. Henry Cavill confirms that Netflix. Here, I'm going to share this. I'll show you what I'm looking at here on Twitter. So right here. So Henry Cavill confirms that Netflix owns the exclusive rights to his face. And he says, it was an unfortunate contract thing. I missed it. So did my agent. Oh, well, 2 years to go.
That's so fucked up.
Until 2024, his face can't be in anything else, supposedly.
That's dude.
Isn't that stupid? I don't even understand why that's legal. Like how that can be legal. That's awful. And
yeah, that is. Oh, I just realized my camera was off. Yeah, that's awful. That's fucked up. So that's why we're not getting, him appearing as Superman. Or he wasn't in Shazam. He wasn't in Peacemaker. We're just getting the lower half of some body double. It's fucked up. Supposedly,
and it's just like, again, I'm not familiar with that source, the Cinephiles. I don't know how reputable they are, so take it with a grain of salt, I guess. But if that's true, that's awful.
That's like, we're on the Absolute Geek Podcast, and we can't ever be seen in like on another person's podcast, like ever. Like that's I don't know. That's just fucked up.
Yeah, well, I mean, so there must have been some kind of I don't know what the clause would be, because I mean, he was in Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. His face was obviously in that.
But he didn't refilm any of the scenes, so it was just pre-used footage. So he didn't really breach contract, right? Because he didn't go in and film anything new.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not
the
100% sure
the other actors did, right? Didn't Zack Snyder film other stuff with the other actors, but not with Henry Cavill?
Maybe. I can't remember. Maybe he got an exception, or maybe you're right because it was already filmed, and so it's different. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at his pedigree here, and since 2018, he did a movie called Night Hunter, which wasn't on Netflix, but then he did Enola Holmes in 2020. He's done The Witcher in 2019 and 2021. He's going to be in Enola Holmes 2. It looks like all
making
this
a
stuff.
Sequel to that?
I guess so.
That's cool.
And then
they're
he's
all
in
Netflix stuff. They're all Netflix.
Yeah, he's in this show called Argyle, my Matthew Vaughn. I don't know if that is going to be a Netflix movie. I'm assuming so, if this news is true.
Matthew Vaughn, I think, signed something with Netflix, didn't he? Didn't he sign a first look thing with Netflix?
If he did, I don't know. I haven't heard about that.
I think he signed a first look contract with Netflix.
Yeah, so it's seeming like it might be true. He hasn't been in anything but Netflix stuff. And I hadn't tied that together. Now I'm looking up Argyle.
Dude, if I was
Netflix.
him, I would get new agents. It is your agent's responsibility to go over those contracts with a fine-tooth comb. Your agents and your lawyers. And if they miss something like that is literally taking food out of your mouth. And now the guy is not struggling by any means.
No.
But if they miss something that big in the contract, you need a new agent.
I agree with you. That's a big deal.
That's a big deal. That's like your agent, hey, I got you this new gig. And then you sign the contract and you find out a week later, like the contract says you can't shower for 4 years. You can't wash your feet for like Elijah Wood playing The Hobbit. Dude, we want you to look like a hobbit, so you can't shower for 4 years and you can't shave your face or cut your hair. Or he kind of gets screwed. He got screwed with the Mission Impossible. Was it Mission Impossible where they wouldn't let him shave off his mustache?
Yeah.
And Warner Brothers even offered to pay the studio that made Mission Impossible, because it's easier to put on a mustache than it is to take off a mustache, right? So that's why he looks so bad.
Yeah.
The Warner Brothers even offered to pay the studio that made Mission Impossible for the CGI that would go into
they were going to pay
mustache.
Paramount.
Yeah, and he wasn't able to shave it off. Like that's
I mean, that I'll side with Paramount a little bit on that, because it's like, well, sorry, like he signed a contract with us, like we're actively filming this movie, so like I get that.
Yeah, but there's plenty of actors that have fake mustaches or beards for whatever role, or
sure, but I could see them saying,
or wigs, or
yeah, but I could see them like concerned that if part of the movie was shot with his real facial hair and the other portion of the movie has fake facial hair, would that look off-putting? Would you be able to tell? Would that, like little things like that can cause viewers to not want to watch something. So I can understand Paramount's position of, yeah, we know you'll pay for it, but that could cause our box office to not be as good because people will notice and the movie will review worse because of it. Or there's, you know what I mean? Like I could see that position. So
yeah, I guess. I just think when you're an actor, you do whatever you can to get as much work as possible, especially someone like Henry Cavill that's not an A-list actor. Like Henry Cavill is not Brad Pitt, or he's not an A-list, right?
I think he is.
No, he's not.
Yeah, I think he is.
Dude, you and I know who he is. But if I went to my dad and said, Dad, do you know who Henry Cavill is?
Your dad would know who he is.
No.
I think your dad would. I know you use this example a lot. Your parents are always like the way you talk about your parents because on the podcast, they are the dumbest when it comes to movies.
No. It's just my parents watch very mainstream stuff.
Okay,
right?
So I'll give you that. Like your parents probably, they will know the name.
And your parents,
they would know the name Henry Cavill.
Think of your parents.
I bet my parents would know the name Henry Cavill.
If you never said it, right? If you weren't a fan of Henry Cavill, he's not an A-list actor, dude. He's not that kind of, he's not Brad. Like there's very few A-list actors. Ryan Reynolds right now is an A-list actor. And think about Ryan Reynolds' popularity over Henry Cavill. Like, and if you just look at how much he's raking in for the movies he does, it pales in comparison to how much Ryan Reynolds gets paid to do a movie. Because Ryan Reynolds can do any movie and people will go see it because it's a Ryan Reynolds movie. That's what makes an A-list actor. Henry Cavill does not have that luxury of Ryan Reynolds or of a Brad Pitt or of, a Sandra Bullock, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's specific A-list actors and the list is very small. No, I guarantee you, dude. If you look at just how much he makes off of a movie, it's nowhere near. And sometimes they go in and out of it. And I guarantee you right now, Henry Cavill, being the fact that he hasn't done anything else except Netflix stuff for the last 2 years or 3 years or however long it's been, I think that my statement is even more true now than it even would have been when he did like The Man from U.N.C.L.E. He hasn't done many things outside of the nerd space. He hasn't done any rom-coms. He hasn't done anything that my mother would go see. My mom would not go see The Man from U.N.C.L.E. or Mission Impossible or Justice League. Like, my mom's not going to see those things.
Uncle's like my
You're breaking
dad.
up.
My dad would.
Yeah, you're breaking up again.
God, hey, what is?
Looks like you're
Is
going
this
back.
my first podcast with the new internet?
Yeah, it looks like you're going back to Cox. No, you're saving so much money though, but
I'm gonna exit out again. Okay.
No, you're fine now. You're fine now.
Okay.
I don't know what was happening. Maybe you were looking at another page and your bandwidth just got eaten up. I have no idea.
I don't know. Every time I do a speed test, I'm getting like 500 download and like 50, 60 upload. I'm getting like triple the upload I used to get. So I'm kind of surprised. All right. Do we want to get into our last little topic here?
Yeah. What is it?
Sonic
2. Man, I love this damn movie. Okay. So
yeah, I've been fairly like negative about some things tonight. Not going to be negative here. This was amazing.
Sonic. So just a little backstory on the whole Sonic franchise. So when the first Sonic came out, they released a trailer. Sonic looked absolutely horrible. Fans revolted. Paramount said, it was a Paramount that makes this?
Yeah.
Paramount said, okay, we're going to go back to the drawing board, redesign this character. We're going to push the movie. They pushed it, I think, 6 or 7 months or something ridiculous like that. And we're going to fix it. And then they came back out and they listened to their fans. And the fans came to the theaters in COVID era, by the way. This was like the last movie before COVID hit, right?
Yeah.
Or it was
it was like one of the first ones during COVID, I think.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
So Sonic comes out and it breaks the record for box office opening weekend for a video game adaptation, which is very impressive considering we have things like Resident Evil and we have some of these other movies that have been made. So fans supported it. Sonic 2 comes out and they're giving you Knuckles, they're giving you Tails. Jim Carrey looks fucking awesome. He's still not fat.
Yeah. But they did a little Easter egg of that, but
yeah, but and fans supported. This one broke the record that the first one set in place for largest or biggest opening weekend for a video game movie. It's a great franchise. Not to mention, this poster may be my most favorite movie poster I've ever seen, ever.
Specifically why I chose it.
Because they ripped it directly from the box art of the original video game. From what was that, like
I think it's from Sonic 2.
It is Sonic 2. It's the same thing. It's Dr. Robotnik in the background holding a giant 2. They even put like the race like you see on the edge of the 2, the checkered flag looking thing. Like that's straight from the video game. I honestly wish you would have just put the video game artwork on here as well next to it. Did you pull it up?
Yeah. There it is.
It's shot for shot, dude. The only thing they missed was Sonic folding his arms, which isn't really something Sonic does in the show, so it's fine.
Tails' back is to to us and everything, but this is very similar and it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's a great poster.
They did so good, and it just shows you that that the people making this movie realize that the fans are what makes it work, right? And Halo could probably take a couple notes out of the Sonic playbook for their show, right? Because a lot of Halo fans are ripping the Halo show because it does not follow the video games at all. Sonic 2, whereas it doesn't follow video games, it's a completely original, because Sonic has never been in the world of humans, right? In the video games, even the new age video games. He's always been in this woodland character, right? With other woodland characters. The only human was Dr. Robotnik. But they're giving you sound effects from the show. My favorite part of this movie was, you want to put the spoiler tag up?
Yeah.
My favorite part of this movie was at the end of the movie, they have this giant robot that Dr. Robotnik built using the Chaos Emerald, and his henchman guy, I can't remember his name, holds up the manual, and the manual looks like a Sega Master System game. Like, it even had the logo, the Sega Genesis logo, and it said, manual or something like that. But it was like a Sega Genesis or a Master, Sega Master. What did I just say? What did I just say their system was called? The Master.
I don't know.
It was before the Genesis. It uses like that exact box art with the black grid and everything like that. Like, it was, dude. This whole movie is just for Sonic fans, man. I just love it, and my kids loved it. Even from the opening credits with the Sega, you remember from every game on Genesis had that Sega,
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
I was grinning ear to ear for like a lot of it. I was impressed with how much I liked this movie. I don't know, man. So I went in. I was expecting to enjoy it. It looked like fun. The first Sonic was a lot of fun, so I figured I'd like this.
Thanks, Sticks.
Yeah, and you said it right the first time. I just
and then I just completely had a brain fart when I had to go repeat it. Thanks, Sticks. I appreciate you. I collect retro video games. Like, I have a Sega Master System.
I honestly didn't know that Sega Master System was a thing. I thought Genesis was their first system until this very night. I had no idea.
I'm a big Sega fan. I actually prefer Sega over Nintendo.
Yeah, I didn't grow up with either. The first console I ever had was an N64. So I only ever played the Sega or the Nintendo and Super Nintendo at friends' houses. So I didn't even realize.
Really?
Yeah.
Your parents were kind of a little against video games, right?
They were. We had NBA 94 on my PC. We had like hockey games. Like, they let us play sports games on the computer. And then we ended up playing Final Fantasy VII on the computer. But yeah, for the most part, they were pretty against us having video games until I was about, what I've been like 11 or something like that when the N64 came out.
Well, you didn't even have Wi-Fi until you were close to getting married, right?
Yeah, my parents didn't have Wi-Fi. I moved out of my parents' house so that I could have my own place and get Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't think that Wi-Fi.
Well, Max says he got his own Wi-Fi, but apparently not, because he's playing Robo again. Yeah. So for those that don't know, I am a retro video game collector. I have a lot of Nintendo games, Sega, Atari, everything, like PlayStation, the original PlayStation, which I don't really count as retro, but then you start to think of how old it is, and I guess it is retro. I love retro video games. That is my wheelhouse. And to see these things, like, for instance, the what's the henchman's name? Dr. Robotnik's guy.
I have no idea.
He's been holding down the fort while Dr. Robotnik is in this other mushroom planet thing, and he opens a coffee shop that is fronting this evil agenda that he has, and they call it the Mean Bean. And if you guys are familiar with Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean machine, which was essentially a Tetris type game, it was Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean machine, and they named the coffee shop the Mean Bean. And I just was, all these little things, I was just grinning from ear to ear. There's a scene where he gets thrown off of a ledge and his bag opens up and all his rings fall out, and it makes that sound of the rings falling out like that. And I was just like, they paid attention to every detail.
The only thing with that was he didn't ever go collect a few of them. I was like, come on, gotta collect.
They kind of went off a cliff, so
I know.
It would have been cool if they would have showed him like pick up a couple and goes ding ding, you know.
Yeah, I
them.
love that stuff. Or Tails' little devices. They had the basic like the the bouncing thing that shoots you up into the air in the game.
Yep,
like
and it had the like the like air circle things that from what would have been cooler is if it looked like a computer screen or a TV screen that you jumped on. Because remember, that's what they looked like in the game. It was like a computer screen.
Well, you'd like break it, and then it would have like the little tube-looking thing, like the spring, whatever. I feel like
some of them, yeah, but like
then...
you could jump on one that had like 10 rings in it. There was one that had like super fast shoes. They were like these little screens, and you'd bust it and then get your token or whatever.
Yeah.
But obviously you can't in a movie that's so full of callbacks to the games, you can't really be upset.
No, they did. They did awesome. They did great. I love all those little nods, and I was surprised like how many I knew because, like I said, I didn't grow up with Sonic. Like I played it at my cousin's house, but when I did, I would I shouldn't even just say cousin. Listeners here probably know Tyler, so. Or maybe not. He was more on Couch Crunchers than on here. But anyway, so Tyler, I play at his house. But I realized as I was watching this that I like Tails a lot. And I didn't realize how much I liked Tails. And that I really relate to that character because I'm a little brother.
Yeah.
And Tails is very much, it's not so much a friendship between the two of them. Like it is. But it's much more of a little brother looking up to his big brother thing. And I can relate to that because I have a brother who's 3 years older than me. And I always looked up to him and I always played Tails and he would play Sonic. And I liked playing Tails. It didn't bother me, but I'm watching the movie and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm Tails.
My little brother Chase always played Tails. So Sonic 2 had like this racing time game where you'd basically run through this lap type thing. It was a top and bottom split screen, right? And my brother was Tails and I was Sonic. And then Knuckles came out, and I was Knuckles, and he was Sonic, right? Because Knuckles was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
They had the Sonic, and I was telling Max about this. They had the Sonic and Knuckle game. There was a cartridge, and the top would open up, and then you could take any Sonic game and put it in the Sonic and Knuckles cartridge, like connect the two. So you had this cartridge that was standing up like 6 inches or whatever, and you could play Knuckles in any Sonic game.
Which is one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah,
that is so cool. I had no idea that existed, and that's so cool. It's like an early version of like Disney Infinity or Skylanders, where you like take the figures and put them on the.
It was the same thing. I don't know if you remember Game Genie. Do you remember Game Genie?
Yeah, I remember Game Genie.
So Game Genie was like a code breaker. You put a cartridge on top of the Game Genie. They had it for Game Boy and everything.
Yeah,
they used the same technology. Yes, they used the same technology that would just rewrite the code into your Sega to add Sonic to the game, right? It was genius. Like people went crazy over it. Sonic and Knuckles was a huge success.
Wasn't Game Genie a third-party thing? Like it wasn't an officially supported.
No, Sega didn't make that because they had Game Genie for Super Nintendo. They had Game Genie for.
So it's basically early days mods. Like that's what it was.
Yeah, it was a mod.
But nowadays, dude, games are so complicated. You couldn't like do this. You couldn't create a Game Genie now that like makes every game have cheats. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you don't like games nowadays don't really have like cheat codes in them, right?
It depends. Like Red Dead 2 does. It just disables
does it?
cheat. Yeah, it just disables achievements. And there's other games that have that, and it'll just disable achievements. So if you don't care about trophies or achievements, then go ham.
But there's nothing that like you could like up, down, left, right.
Oh
BA,
yeah, no,
BA,
not usually.
Start. That would give you
Mortal
infinite...
Kombat might have that still, but
yeah, I have no idea. But it wouldn't give you like infinite rings. Like I remember we used to do.
No,
you
could
Sonic
install
codes.
a mod if you have a PC version.
Yeah. But it's like not. It's not like some key, like something the developer put into the game for people to find, like that up down left right BA start. I think it was what it is, or something like that. That was something the video. Well, I think it was made famous by Sonic 2, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the first one that had it, and I think if I remember correctly, that would allow you to go into any level. Like I don't remember what it was.
Well, I remember Mario had something like that. One of the Mario games had something like that, and it was really cool. Like that's an awesome concept, and things like that do exist today, but not in the same degree. So like I never played Metal Gear Solid 2, but one of the things that I've heard about that game that's super cool, and this is just one of the things about Kojima that's just so interesting. With the final boss in that game on the PS1, you had to remove your memory card in order to beat the boss. Because
really?
Because if you didn't, the boss had a record of your play style and how you liked to do your moves and like could like take you down. And so if you took your memory card out and then kept playing the game, the boss now no longer had a recollection of your data, I guess, and that's how you would beat it.
That's the same thing I do when I'm looking at flights. I go
there you
into
go.
incognito mode.
Yeah. But like that's such a cool idea, like to use the technology in such a unique way. And developers do really cool things today, but like not like that, it's not the same. And that doesn't mean gaming's bad. I mean, I think gaming's better than it's ever been, but some of that older game like stuff is just cool. It's neat. So and Sonic is one of those original retro games that's just like it was groundbreaking. What were you gonna
say? So I didn't know this. So that up down what is it? Up down left right BA start. It's called the Konami code.
Oh, so it was probably Kojima.
It was first used in Contra, or it was first used in a Konami game called Gradius. I don't even know what this game is. Gradius, but was made famous by Nintendo's Contra. So it started on Nintendo. But I'm not seeing. I don't think that was the code that we used for Sonic, because I'm not seeing Sonic on this list. But it was used for Ninja Turtles. Which,
so Zaggy's making fun of Metal Gear 2 boss. Was that? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Zaggy. My understanding is it was a Metal Gear 2 boss, but maybe it's a different game.
By the way, I'm so excited for that Cowabunga collection.
Oh,
Ninja
me
Turtles.
Too. Yeah, me too.
I'm gonna play the shit out of Turtles in Time.
Yeah, and if it's 2-player same screen, I'm gonna have to come over. Dude,
it's online. It's online play.
Well, then we'll do that.
Yeah,
figure out a way.
So they have tournament fighters on there that you can actually play online against people. So yeah, it sucks that it's not coming out till December.
I was just gonna look up when it's coming out. So thank you.
December 5th, I think. I looked it up last night.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But I am so excited for that fucking game. I don't know, man. Sonic, I don't know if you guys saw the show thumbnail that we had, but it was me. I actually won best costume at a party, I think, for this. I dressed up as Sonic. I made my costume. My wife dressed up as Amy, which is Sonic's like girlfriend, and then my daughter, Kaylin, was Tails, and my mother made her costume. But I have been obsessed. And what pisses me off, dude, is we have this thing called Trunk or Treat in my neighborhood. And I went to Trunk or Treat dressed up in this costume, and all these kids were like, who are you supposed to be? They didn't know who Sonic was.
Oh, kids today do.
Oh, they do now. I guarantee they do now. But
yeah.
But I was shocked, dude, because if you remember, it was Sonic and Mario. Those were the two top things. And Mario, of course, went on to have huge success, but it's just...
Yeah, I always liked Sonic more.
Oh, Sonic was awesome. Sonic was more relatable. He ran faster. He was cooler. Yeah. Like, that was the whole gimmick of Sega, was the cool factor, right? That was Sega. It wasn't some fat plumber that was chasing a girl that was way out of his league. That was what was cool about Sonic, too, if you remember. It was never about, like, saving a princess or anything like that. It was saving all these, like, woodland creatures that Dr. Robotnik was capturing to turn into robots.
I never knew any of the story of Sonic. I just knew that I liked going really fast and turning into a ball and just like going around the loops. Like, I just thought it was more fun to play than Mario. And I like Mario, like Super Mario World and everything.
Oh, Mario's great.
Yoshi,
I love Mario.
Like
Mario
that's
Kart's
all.
a blast, dude.
Yeah,
Mario
yeah.
Kart, Super Smash Brothers, which I think Sonic is in Super Smash Brothers now, isn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super Smash Bros is like breaking down all sorts of barriers. I think Master Chief's in that.
Yeah. Did you
Kratos
see
is in
the
that.
Did you see the director of Sonic wants to make a Super Smash Brothers movie?
That could be cool. Do it animated.
I think
it
it needs to be animated. Yeah. So the Mario movie's coming out in what, October or something like that? November, something like that.
Is that this year?
Yeah, it's coming out this year. But that one's fully animated. That's by the same people that did Despicable Me, the Imagination Studios or whatever they're called.
Okay.
Which I'm kind of excited for that. I had a hard time with Chris Pratt being cast as Mario because I've just, I'm kind of old school and I love the Mario voice, and it's going to be completely different, and I'm anticipating it. I'm excited for it. Sonic 2, I mean, they went completely different from the cartoons as far as his voice is concerned. Jaleel White was, who you guys know as Steve Urkel, was his voice for many, many, many years. That's what was cool about this movie, is that the same girl that voices Tails in all those cartoons is the voice of Tails in this movie.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I didn't know that.
Knuckles obviously is not.
He was hilarious, dude.
Okay, that's my one beef with this movie is, so Knuckles had a few parts throughout the movie where it was just some of the most laugh out, when reading the text. But his humor didn't shine until the end of the movie when they were playing baseball.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. The end of the movie, they're playing baseball.
I beat you at base of ball.
Yes, it was so funny. And, by the way, they're supposed to be like the keepers of the Master Emerald now, and they're just keeping it in a cooler. I kind of laughed at that too. Yeah. But so the next movie, I'm hoping that Knuckles is absolutely hysterical, because we haven't really seen Idris Elba in that space, right? In that funny space. And
he was funny in The Office, but more dry. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot that he was in The Office, right?
Yeah.
He was
but he's like
the boss for a while, right?
He's a hateable character.
Yes.
He's not usually funny as much. Like, there's funny things that happen around him, but
yeah,
he was like a character that you're supposed to hate. But he was so good in this. He did a great job voicing the character, and near the end of the movie, that was absolutely hilarious. I'll say that the story arc between him and Sonic was very predictable.
Oh yeah,
but I think it was supposed to be. I don't think the story's supposed to be like that. It's not supposed to be a deep story. It's a kid's movie, family movie, whatever you want to call it.
Well, that was ripped straight from the games. Sonic and Knuckles, when you're first introduced to Knuckles, they're enemies until the end of the game. So that, he was. I'm not, if I'm not mistaken, I thought he was created by Dr. Robotnik in the Sonic and Knuckles game. I don't remember, but I do know he's working with Robotnik.
Shadow was created by Robotnik, and that's supposed to be the villain in the next movie.
Shadow is supposed to be a clone of Sonic, right?
I don't remember if he's a clone or not. I just know he's a creation of Robotnik. But it would make sense, because Robotnik did get that quill, so he could have started working on a clone.
Yeah, who knows? I'm excited for the next one, man. Like, and I have no knowledge of Shadow whatsoever. That was past my
time. I know very little. I did a quick Google search after the mid-credit scene, so I don't know much. But I do know that he was supposedly created by Robotnik. And who knows if Robotnik's going to be in the next movie, because Jim Carrey supposedly is going to retire from acting. If he's not in the movie, that's fine. Whatever.
I would like him to be in the movie. Like maybe not the whole movie. Like, because I think the henchman can kind of take that role and like introduce Shadow. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think, honestly, it's probably the henchman that cloned him. Like, maybe he was doing this in the background because there wasn't enough time for Dr. Robotnik to do this, because he was in the mushroom world. So I think,
unless he started the process before like the end of the first movie.
Maybe. But you see he has the quill in the mushroom land.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't know. We shouldn't dissect this movie too much, because it is a family movie.
Yes.
But the henchman could be the main big bad, and at the end of the movie, you could, a la Professor Xavier at the end of Days, or what was it? The Last Stand or whatever. Pan over to a hospital room and Dr. Robotnik's completely in a like full body cast or something like that, and then the fourth movie have Dr. Robotnik in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. All I can say is that the casting in this movie, I know you don't like the sister as much.
I just found her stuff kind of annoying. It was just...
I get why she's there, but I understand your point. But the rest of the casting, Ben Schwartz is Sonic, the actress that does Tails, Idris Elba, James Marsden, his wife,
they're
Jim
all awesome.
Carrey. Great casting, and that's what makes this movie so awesome.
Oh, yeah. It was a great time. I loved it.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. There's not much we can say about this.
No, I'm good.
But go see it.
Absolutely. Well, I think that'll do it for us tonight, right?
Yeah. Are you watching anything good that you want to tell people about?
No.
Dude.
I'm really not.
Go watch The After Party on Apple TV. Absolutely hilarious. Speaking of Ben Schwartz.
I got 2 minutes into Outer Range today. New show
on
the
Amazon
Josh Brolin
Prime. One?
Yeah, and I only got 2 minutes in just because I was with my kid all day today, and I turned it on, and he was like, no, Dad, put Coco Melon back on, basically. So I didn't get to watch any more of it than that.
I think I'm going to watch that with my... Well, no, we got to finish up Servant, which is on Apple TV, that M. Night Shyamalan show. We got 2 episodes left, and then I think I'm going to check out Outer Range. But
I did just finish Morning Show like last week on Apple TV.
Oh, wow, you're behind on that one.
Yeah, I'm behind. It was like November last year or something.
It was okay.
First season was way better.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay if they just decide not to make any more of that show.
Well, the season just ended, and like honestly,
it was supposed to have like another episode or something, but it ended because of COVID.
Oh, is that why? I just thought they were trying to end it on a big cliffhanger, and I'm like, well, I'm not that interested in the cliffhanger. Like, I don't know. I liked it, but I'm not dying for season 3.
Yeah, and they killed off the main reason that I watch.
One of the main reasons, I agree. Yeah, I was pretty disappointed by that.
Yeah, so Space Force season 2 was pretty funny. Speaking of that person.
Oh, really? Because I couldn't even get through one episode of the first season.
I like Space Force. It's funny.
I hated that show.
I
watched the whole first episode, and it was terrible. And I was like, nope.
The first season's a little dry. The second season, they kind of change it a little bit. They add some like Parks and Recs and Office elements to it, so it makes it a lot better. The second season's better than the first season. But dude, After Party on Apple TV is absolutely hysterical. You need to watch that one with Kelsey. It's so funny, dude. It's so funny. It's Chris Miller who did Chris Miller and Phil Lord or whatever, the 2 guys that we were talking about.
Yeah,
he's the creator of it. So
nice.
It's hysterical. But that's all I got.
Yeah, I'm going to see Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore tomorrow. Looking forward to that. So maybe I'll give my thoughts on it next week on the show.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, that brings us to the end of our show. I am Lance. That is Max. That guy over there is Max. We are the Absolute Geek Podcast. Tune in next week. Matt will be joining us again. Hopefully you'll get all 3 of us. I don't know if that's happened yet this year. But next week it'll be all 3 of us. Have an excellent Easter Sunday, an excellent weekend. And until next time, play that music, Max.
Oh, I thought you were going to. Shoot.
All right. The one talking.
Bye.
Blah, 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 blah. Play that music.
All you freaks and geeks.
Come all you freaks and geeks. Let's listen to Absolute Geek.
Absolute Geek.
We'll go ahead and spread our cheeks.
Spread the cheeks.
And drink some Cosby wine.
We'll drink some Cosby wine. It makes me feel real fine. See you next time on the Absolute Geek.